Hello and welcome to Backlinking, the PKM podcast, where we most often discuss productivity tools and the state of productivity applications. Today, I wanted to talk about browsers because I've been really into browsers lately, mainly for productivity. I used to use Arc before they killed Arc, and that is actually what we are going to talk about. I am currently doing research to find a new browser, and once I have done all of my research and figured things out, I will do like a browser overview video. But let's just quickly go over what I am currently using, because after Arc I tried Zen browser and I love Zen browser. I think it's a great browser. It is an amazing experience to use the browser. It was really fun, really enjoyed it. The only issue I have is that it is Firefox based, and I'm not that technical, but I have an issue that is important for me to solve, which Firefox cannot. And the simple issue here is that I can't watch my Premier League games, so I can't watch Manchester United lose games, and I can't watch the NBA, so I can't watch the Brooklyn Nets lose games either. That has been an issue I've had on my Firefox browsers, both Zen browser and the actual Firefox browser. And it took me a while to figure out what the problem was. That the problem was actually the browser itself. MBA doesn't work with Safari either. So my Game Pass can only be used with Chromium browsers, which is really important to me because I spend most of my free time watching either the NBA or F1 or Premier League, and not having those work is a huge issue for me. So I need a Chromium browser. After a lot of back and forward, I ended up just using Opera browser. I really like the customizability of the browser. I am also considering trying the Opera because they have a couple of different browsers. They have the gaming browser, I think that's called Opera GX, and they also have one more mindfulness focused browser, which I really wanted to test out because it has baked in things like breathing exercises on the sidebar, which I definitely need because whenever I work, I tend to forget to take breaks, and just having that makes it so much easier. So that will be something I will play around with going forward. I have enjoyed the experience so far. And like I have already given up on privacy a long time ago, or not totally given up, but I've kind of accepted that my soul is already sold to big tech. I have a TikTok account, I have a Facebook account, I have an Instagram account. Like, my job is to have accounts and post for the business I work at, and like I'm not getting away from having everything tracked. I am hoping that at some point we will have more focus generally towards privacy, but I've sort of just accepted that this is my life now, which is a little sad. But that is what I'm currently using. And mm, when it comes to Arc, I am really upset with the fact that Arc shut down because it was a really good product. I enjoyed it. A lot of other people enjoyed it. And I've also seen a lot of YouTubers be really angry with Arc because they recommended it to their followers, their viewers. And if you haven't had a social media channel or posted things on social media for others, like reviews and recommendations, giving a recommendation on something is really, really hard because it might not be true, but you believe that people trust your judgment, you believe that they watch your videos because they trust your judgment, or they at least find what you're saying interesting. And posting something about a product that shuts down quickly after is it is not annoying, or it is probably annoying, but I can't find the right word. It it makes like my opinions matter less. Like my trust with my audience, for example, will matter much less. I don't think I actually published anything about Arc. I might have mentioned that I used it, but I've seen a lot of like big YouTubers be really angry about that, which makes total sense. And I also have a problem with their new browser, Dia. I will never use Dia, and that isn't only because I'm angry with the browser company for shutting down the browser I love. It is more about the fact that I don't necessarily need the like I've seen previews of Dia, and the only major feature they have is an AI chat that allows you to chat with your tabs or summarize your content on the web page you're on, which is already available through Google Chrome and the new Gemini like integration, so you can already do that. That is what the browser company is basically offering, and that is the only thing they're offering. And in my case, I'm already paying for Raycast, which I use mainly as like my AI tool on my Mac. And once they finally release the Windows version on Windows as well, so that is mainly like what I use. That is my use case for AI is covered by Raycast, and I can use it to summarize things in the browser. I can use it to fix my grammar on something in the browser. So I won't be using the app for that specific reason. Like I'm already paying for something which I am really happy about because I really like the AI extensions inside of Raycast. So I wouldn't pay for another like AI tool or wouldn't use another AI tool just to have AI in my browser. So that is the reason why I won't use Arc, but sorry, Dia. But I am also really annoyed with the fact that they just like they had a popular product which they just abandoned, which feels really weird to me. But they have tried to explain it in this blog post. So if you're listening to the podcast, I will just mention a few things, and I will also link this blog post, which is on my screen right now. But let's just go over some of the most important things. So they talk about what they got wrong, why they built Arc, where Arc fell short, why we didn't integrate Dia into Arc. I think this one is interesting because after seeing Dia, like why we didn't integrate Dia into Arc, after seeing Dia, it almost feels like you could get away with just creating an extension for the use case of Dia, but that is for another video. Will we open source Arc? Spoiler alert, they will not, because Dia is built on the same foundation as Arc. And also the last point is building Dia, but like mainly the issue they talk about is that Arc is really difficult to use. Like it has many features that no one uses, and also AI became more important. They knew that AI became more important, and they didn't jump on the trend fast enough. That is basically what they're saying. Like back in 2019, it was already clear to us that everything was moving into the browser. So everything was going into the browser. Browsers is important, and that I actually agree on. More and more people use the browser. Like my girlfriend, my friends, my little sister, like they do everything in the browser. They don't care about native applications, for example. They just use the browser. Um, so that I agree upon. And after a couple of years of building and shipping Arc, we started running into something we call novelty tags problem. A lot of people loved Arc. If you're here, you might be one of them. And we benefited from consistent organic growth since basically day one. But for most people, Arc was simply too different with too many new things to learn for too little reward. So basically, this is what I always say about an application like Obsidian. That Obsidian will struggle to become mainstream. That doesn't mean that the application is bad or isn't sustainable. It just means that it will, like, I can't picture my little sister or my fiance just using Obsidian, and I couldn't imagine them using Arc either. Probably, I could imagine them using Arc a little more than Obsidian, but it is the same point that they're making here. Like, it will never become mainstream because Arc was simply too different. They go into some metrics and some numbers here, and the next thing like I wanted to talk about is this right here. In and as I said, I will link the blog post if you want to read all of the different metrics. But what people actually, we can read through this as well, what people actually used, loved, and valued differs from what the average tweet or Reddit comment assumes. Only 5.52% of daily active users use more than one space regularly. Only 4.17 use live folders, including GitHub live folders. It's 0.4% for one of our favorite features, calendar preview on Hover. So a lot of these amazing features that the productivity community loved only were used by a fraction of the users. But the next thing here, this is where it gets really funny, because switching browsers is a big ask, and the small things we loved about Arc features you and other members appreciated either weren't enough on their own or were too hard for most people to pick up. By contrast, core features in Dia like chatting with tabs and personalized features are used by 40 and 37% of daily active users, respectively. This is the kind of clarity and immediate value we're working toward. I will just point the camera at myself for a second because I'm no business guru. I don't know a lot about statistics. I don't know a lot about business growth. Even though I've studied it, I didn't do very well. But if your only major feature, like your only selling point, is that you can chat with your tabs, and you have a small group of people that is using your browser in alpha testing, and out of that small group, under half of your users are using your only selling point. Isn't that bad? Like, shouldn't more than half of your users use the features that you built the browser for? Because if you're not using the AI chat, there are other browsers that do all of the other things much better than Dia does, that has features that you might like, whether that's privacy or whether you want like a more of a mindful browser like I talked about earlier. But if you want to chat with your tabs or chat with your browser, then DI is probably your best option. But only 40% are using that features, like under half of your users. It just doesn't make sense to me. But back here in like 2023, we started seeing it happen across categories that felt just as old and cemented as browsers. ChatGPT and Perplexity were actually threatening Google. Well, ChatGPT probably Perplexity fell off a little bit, but I get the point here. Back to the blog post, Cursor was reshaping the IDE. What's fascinating about both search engines and IDEs is that their users had been doing things the same way for decades, and yet they were suddenly open to change, AI, basically saying that AI reshaped both IDs and also search, and it probably could do the same thing for browsers as well. So why didn't they integrate it into Arc? Like mainly simplicity is like the selling point here. Uh, early on, Scott Forstall told us Arc felt like a saxophone, powerful but hard to learn. Then he challenged us to make it a piano, something anyone can sit down at and play. Basically, what they're saying is that Arc was too hard. Dia needs to be simpler so more people can use it. I have a problem with this quote though. Piano isn't easy to learn. Everyone can't just sit down and play a piano. I get that there is probably more people out there that can play the piano compared to the saxophone, but that doesn't mean that the piano is easy to play. You can't just sit down and play it. I know it because I know how to play the piano, and it took me a long time to get good at it and a lot of practice. So terrible quote there, but I get the point. So I'm just going to let this slide. But that is now the idea behind the hide complexity behind familiar interfaces. I talked about them open sourcing Arc. They won't do that. Arc isn't just a Chromium fork. It runs on custom infrastructure we call ADK, the Arc Development Kit. Think of this as an internal SDK for building browsers. That is our secret sauce, basically saying that Dia is built on the same infrastructure. So that is why they can't open source it. Um, so basically, that is like everything important in the blog post. They talk a little bit about um, what Dia is going to be, and I will just read these out quickly. Web pages won't be the primary interface anymore. Uh, Number two is, but the web isn't going anywhere, at least not anytime soon. And new interfaces starts from familiar ones. So as of right now, like the browser might become something bigger in the future, but as of right now, I wouldn't call myself a big fan. I just, as I said, it won't work out for my use case. I prefer something like Raycast. Uh, that is the first thing. I don't see like I don't see a lot of use case for just talking to things in your browser. Maybe some people, especially students, will benefit a lot from this or researchers, but I probably will not, as at least not yet. I hope they succeed, but the problem I have is that with all of the marketing stuff and all of the things that Arc are doing, they portray themselves as a big company. Think Apple, think Microsoft, Google, like a big company, Figma. But they actually aren't. And one of the reasons I'm saying that is that a startup would probably just throw away a product to build a new and better one. A bigger company, probably not, at least not that fast. They are a small company, like they are a newer company, and they're trying to portray themselves as bigger than they are. At least that is my experience of it. And I am a little biased because I'm just annoyed with the fact that they killed Ark the way they did. Um, but I also get that they need to make money somehow, and they probably weren't making enough from Arc, and you would probably never get to the point where you made enough from Arc. But also the fact that they really want to become the next big thing, which I also understand. However, I am struggling to see what Dia offers that I can't get from someplace else, like in my case, Raycast, for example. Uh, and in general, I'm just not from the videos I've seen, and I know that it is still in a really early stage, but from what I've seen from Dia, it just looks like a simple Chrome browser with the ability to chat with your tabs, which then I could just use Chrome, which also has some of the same features. So I think that they need to add more at least before I consider going to it. like one of my favorite features with Arc was the left sidebar, having your tabs on the left instead of on the top. That is something that we don't have in Dia. So I'm not really sure how this will go. These are just my personal thoughts on the current situation for the browser company. I really hope they succeed. I am always rooting for new businesses. I'm always rooting for new products, but I will struggle to recommend the Dia browser anytime soon, just because of the fact that I might be a little scared that they just end up abandoning it. I don't think they will do that a second time, but you never know. Um, but my thoughts on it is that I think they've done, I think they've made a mistake. But on the other hand, like if I were an expert, I would probably do something else than sitting here making YouTube videos. But that covers it for my thoughts on the browser company Arc. And I'm happy that they decided to post that blog post. I like that they are transparent about it. I just disagree with some of the points, which I think is totally fine. But I do like the fact that they are transparent, or at least trying to be transparent about it. I didn't like the saxophone piano thing quote, but that is probably because that annoyed me too, being a piano player. Anyways, that covers it for today's video or today's podcast episode. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode.